Okie dokie, this next card, which again is a pop-out, is really for the man in your life, the sporting man in your life. And we cater for all sports on this one. Fantastic little card to make, really spectacular as well. Old formula, cover on the front. And again, this can be any cover you want. These are just ones I've given you as a serving suggestion. Printed out on the inside. Incidentally, I always score with these pop-outs because everything's designed to work from that centre point. I always score it here and allow that to become the centre. Sometimes when it goes through the printer, it isn't always obviously in the middle of the paper. Just a little point to make that always work from the inside on these lines. And then everything, the guidelines here will all work for you on there. Okay, so that's the base. What we've got to do is assemble everything. And the first thing that we've got is our furniture here. And this is our TV stand. And as you can see, I've cut it out. There's some fold lines here. And that's simply going to sit the first part on the base of the white line there, halfway. And then we'll just come back and glue that to the back, so as it rises we create the stand. In fact, we'll pull that forward and just glue it like that. So those two tabs just need to be glued, and that will create our football stand. Remember, the most important part of the glue is on that crease line there. You don't want to go over it or the card sticks a bit. You can always rub it off, but that's really where the power part is on that hinge, because otherwise things start to come adrift a wee bit. Okay, so those two tabs are glued there. Now that's my line to work out. I've got my white line, so just a rough rule of thumb measuring. I've got a nice white guideline which I can cover up so you don't see it, but that makes sure that that's at 90 degrees for me. And pop that down, and just as a double safety measure, that's exactly the width of the gutter of the card here. So if you put that up and just butt it to there, you know it's going to fit, and that must be, otherwise it's going to cause problems opening it. So once you've got this part in, the next thing to do is just to fold this down and make sure you've got one without tape on it and then one with tape there. So you've got that part, the black part with all the glass and trophy goes down, fold that in half, and then you can fold this over. If you don't, you're going to have trouble. And that just rests like so, and then we open it up and we get our pop-out mechanism there, like so. That's important because this really powers everything. It's going to pull the chair out and all the other bits and pieces as well. So there we go, that's our first piece there. The next thing to do now is to have a look at the television. And what I've got here is my TV set. I've put a little bit of acetate on the back there and just put a little bit around with my tape to hold it on. Then the next thing that can go on there is your choice of sport. Now at this point it's got to be football, hasn't it? So again, the same technique that I've used, and I'll show you for the acetate, I'll show you for here. I just go over the edge, sort of 50-50 on here. Careful that you don't re-stick it back down, so just keep moving the work. So just a little edge. It's just giving me probably about 3 or 4 mil of glue just around the edge. That will hold on to there. Then I can just place, whoops, getting that out of the way, I can just place that over my screen here and just position that. And if you do it the other way, you'll be able to sort it out. But that's pretty good, really. I think we'll just show a little bit more of the goalie, so I'll just pull that up that away there, like so. There we go, fantastic. So that just gives a little bit of realism to our TV set there. If you wanted to, you could even put that on foam pads and offset it back a little bit, because you've got plenty of room in here to allow for that. But that just, I think, just little touches like that give a little bit more realism. And also, not to forget that we can change the sport in here as well, so you can add different things to it. They're all on the sheet, so you can be watching cricket, rugby, motocross, golf, all sorts of things. You can actually, what's so beautiful about this card is its versatility. Just for argument's sake, I'm just using football to begin with here. Okay, so that's our TV set, and what we're going to do is simply just pop that on top here. Now all these tabs actually act as the guidelines for where everything goes as well. So I'm going to do a similar technique as we've done for this, and just flatten that out and glue the tab here and the tab at the back there. And for the TV now, that's just going to sit again centre on there, the lower line just on the top, just touching there, like so. And then we're going to fold that back, leaving one without, one with sticky, and we can fold that all over like so. Just tap it on there, and then you can see now our TV set rises up. If I put it on the back there, let's just rub that down into position, and there we go. We've got our TV set and we've got our base unit there. With everything in position, our cabinet and TV, we're ready for our footballer. Now he can line up really wherever you want, but left or right, but distance wise you can see the part of the carpet there, that dark line. That's our measuring point. Now I've glued my tab, which is the carpet there, and if you have a look, it does kind of line up on the carpet, so I would use that as your guide there on the curve of the carpet and on that line down there. So I'll just pop him there like so, stick that down, and then we've got him there. And so up comes the tab here, and this simply sticks. You can see we've got a part there, or I don't know, just go for the middle if you like, it doesn't really matter. That can go on there, and again that's going to fold backwards like so, so it's just going to touch the cabinet down there. Zoom in and show you. Okay, so that tab now sticks onto there, and that just comes, it's exactly it's actually 15mm from there, just touches that part. So when we close it all up, that will go and stick onto the cabinet and pull the chair forward like so. Okay, with everything lying flat here, we're ready to put the table on. And what I suggest we do is, just before you glue it, just measure up. You want it lining up with that white line on the back of the chair there, but you don't want any glue on the rest of it here. So I'm just going to put a pencil mark, so when I glue it, it won't show up here, but I'll know where to glue to. If I go like that, that's the part I want to glue. So I'm going to glue that and the 2 feet here. So this will now go on, and just to allow for a margin of error, I will just go slightly over, because we really do not want that sticking there. That goes down, then these feet just tuck in, and that should give us the right height. So as we open up, the table will now rise up, as you can see there, and I'll just show you like that as well. And just to make sure everything really is in the right position, we can now come back down this way, and you can just see now, let me just show you here, I'll just gently push that down and rub it there, so that we now know is absolutely right. So we can see, and just as an added extra for a little bit more realism, we've got this part of the table here which will just slot in and stick at the back there like so. So the next thing to do now is just to put the objects on the table, and we'll do that by just sticking a little bit of glue, which I've got here, and I can just, this is up to you, this is just a serving suggestion. I've got the sports newspaper there, just make sure nothing sticks out over the edge, that's all. Other objects that we've got, we can just dress this now. I've got a football here, so let's just have that resting there, and of course with the other sports you've got various things that you can use there as well. So you've got golf clubs and all sorts and bits and pieces. Let's have a tin of lager just sticking onto the chair there like so, and of course there's other bits and pieces on there. You can use this and other things that you want to, just to show you that there, just to make it look more realistic. And we've also got a bowl of popcorn that we can use. There's a little tab on it there that can stick on, and then there's the support tab which will just go to the back of the chair there as well. You can see now as we open up this card we get this fantastic sports scene. Of course you'll be opening it this way, but just for the camera, the way that we're filming, I'm doing this like this, as you can see it there. But of course, don't forget, we can change this. It doesn't have to be football. We've got golf. As I said, we've got all sorts of sports you can use in there. And you can sort of like dress the room up with any other objects that you like that might be personal to the person that you're sending it. Okie dokie, so a fairly simple card to put together, but really absolutely spectacular. Wow, what a 3D effect, and I think any sports fan would like to receive this card. In fact, I'd stick my neck out and say, even if you don't like sport, if you've got a card like this, you'd be absolutely mesmerised by it. It really is truly one of those things which it's not difficult to make, it doesn't take long, but the results are absolutely spectacular. Anyway, I hope you enjoy making this card, and the person that receives it enjoys it as much as you do making it.